Welcome to Ireland, welcome to my kitchen in Ireland, and welcome to you all. Wherever you're from, you're welcome. Whatever country you're from, even if you're from Ireland, you're welcome. That was a joke. Hello Andrew, welcome. Good to see you here. Now, just to clarify for everybody, in case there's somebody here who doesn't realize, I am not Walt Whitman. This old man with long grey beard is Walt Whitman. And you probably won't believe me when I say this, but he is, in my opinion, the greatest of the American poets. Oh, Lindsay, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it a lot. Walt Whitman wrote this book, Leaves of Grass. I used to have a beard. But it was never white. Probably if I drew one now, it might be white. Leaves of Grass was Walt Whitman's self-published collection in 1855, just like a lot of poets do. He published 2 editions of it before he got a proper publisher, if you like. And all his life he kept adding poems to it. So this is his life's work, the life's work of Walt Whitman. And that's what the Walt Whitman Show is kind of about. At one level, the Walt Whitman Show is where you can come every day and hear the poetry of Walt Whitman. But the Walt Whitman Show is a lot more than that, because there are a lot of people here who are, excuse me now, I've got holding this all over the place. Yeah, there are wonderful people here who know a lot about, some of them a lot about Walt Whitman. They're great to talk to, and people come to the Walt Whitman Show, I think, partly for the poetry, but also for the company. It's a very friendly place. So in the next piece of time, I'm going to read you some Walt Whitman poetry, and we're going to chat. And you never know what topics will get discussed. So good evening, Susan. Good evening, lovely to see you. And thank you very much for inviting followers. That's really good of you. And also inviting people on Twitter. That's even nicer of you. Spillone in Milan, how do you do? How do you do? So look, just to go back to this, he was born in Long Island, New York, Long Island. And he lived there for all his youth. Then he did quite a bit of travelling around the East Coast, and only the East Coast of the United States, till 1848, and he went down and spent a short amount of time in New Orleans. Then he went back up north. So he basically lived on the east side of the United States, and nobody really thought very much of his poetry when he began, except a guy called Emerson. Emerson, pretty highly regarded thinker of the time, adopted Whitman, inspired Whitman, and went to visit Whitman. And gradually Whitman's poetry became popular, and actually became quite popular in the UK at the same time as it was becoming popular in the United States. So that's the idea. So without any more faffing around, without any more delay, I'm just going to set my phone up here on top of that book, balance it properly so I can talk to you. Hope it won't fall down. Shift myself over here so you don't get light in your eyes. And I'm going to read. You're sorry if you missed anyone to say hello to. Yeah, don't faff around. You must read. Oh my goodness, it's that terrible man from Denver in Colorado, Dale. Yes, he's a real terror. Yes, absolutely. Keeps me on my toes. Actually, he's a gem, really. You can probably tell by my way of speaking about him. Pam, hello, bonsoir. Bonsoir, ça va? Oh, c'est tard. Anyway, here we go. Poem by Walt Whitman. Excuse me, I'm going to turn the phone around. I'm very bothered by the way I seem to be looking. So I'm just going to turn the phone around. I'm sorry about this now, but for some reason I don't understand. I feel a lot more comfortable with the phone that way. And I'm actually... Whitman was influenced by the writing of Jules Michelet. I have never heard of Jules Michelet at all. Don't know who he is, haven't a clue, and once again, Andrew has introduced me to somebody I never heard of. Jules, I just got to write this down. Michelet, M-I-C-H-E-L-E-T or something like that. Okay, Walt Whitman. To the Man of War Bird. It's a short poem. It's a short poem. There's several more poems in this. This poem is practically a paraphrase of the English translation of Jules Michelet's poem, The Bird. Jensen, would you please behave in, like a civilized human being and don't make a bloody disgrace of yourself, right? How dare you arrive into anybody's scope behaving like that? You wouldn't be at any dinner party among any group of people anywhere. You'd never be invited back again. So well might you apologize to every single person on this scope for being such a crude and unpleasant person. Bang. My goodness, I hope you heard all that. Right. Excuse me. Hello, Guam. Hello. How do you do? I should hope so. Well, I hope you change now. If you change your behavior, you're welcome to stay. Anyway, look. Excuse me, I'm feeling in that kind of a humor. Right, it was published first in the London Athenaeum in 1876. So this is a poem that Whitman wrote and published first in London. Wow. Okay, here we go. Let's see what it's like. Right? Because what Whitman did is you've got a whole load of these poems that are to do with the sea and sand and put them all together rather than put them chronologically, down. So he themed them in Leaves of Grass in the final edition. Okay, To the Man of War Bird by Walt Whitman. Thou who hast slept all night upon the storm, waking renewed on thy prodigious pinions, burst the wild storm. Over it thou ascendest, and rested on the sky, thy slave that cradled thee. Now a blue point, far, far in heaven floating. As to the light emerging here on deck, I watch thee, myself a speck, a point on the world's floating vast. Far, far at sea, after the night's fierce drifts have strewn the shore with wrecks, with reappearing day, as now so happy and serene, the rosy and elastic dawn, the flashing sun, the limpid spread of air cerulean, thou also reappearest. Thou born to match the gale, thou art all wings, to cope with heaven and earth and sea and hurricane. Thou ship of air that never furl'st thy sails, days, even weeks, untired and onward, through spaces, realms gyrating, at dusk that look'st on Senegal, at morn America, that sportest amid the lightning flash and thunder cloud. In them, in thy experiences, hast thou, my soul, what joys were thine? The end. What joys were thine? So there you have a short poem by Walt Whitman, which would have been published after Whitman had made his reputation. Whitman was, by the time he wrote this poem, a successful poet. And I'm going to read it again, right? So you don't have to take it in, the whole poem in the first time. Did Whitman sail? I don't know. I don't know if he was a sailor. I have a feeling that he went out in a boat a few times, but I don't know. It's a good curiosity to have. It really is. I mean, it's a good curiosity. He was a journalist. This is the Susan Sailboat episode, right? Yes, we should remember that there's a woman here and her name is Susan Sailboat. Yep. And she does things like, she sailed out of Afghanistan. Yes. I'm sure there's a poem to be written, Susan, Sailing from Afghanistan. Actually, I rather like that idea, sailing from Afghanistan. Maybe you could help me write it. Maybe you could write it. Hello, Essex. Hello. Okay. Absolutely remarkable, you know. Let's go again with the poem and see what it's like. The final stanza is in reference to Shelley's To a Skylark. So, Shelley's To a Skylark. Poets are always borrowing from each other or riffing off each other, and, you know, often most people wouldn't have a clue and they don't even need to know. But then the scholars who know about the poetry and the history of poetry, you know, pick it up, talk about it. And it's a very kind of it's a good thing to do, actually. I like doing it myself. You know, having a piece of poetry by somebody else in my head. Sometimes even the rhythm of another poem can help you start a poem yourself. You know, you just get into the rhythm. Yes, Norton's Compendium is the book, which I don't have. Can I recite? I'm just going to give you a piece of Walt Whitman, right? We do Walt Whitman. I always believe that we need Walt Whitman. We need any poet's work to be. You need to hear it a second time. So here we go. To the Man of War Bird by Walt Whitman. You are I must not look at the remarks. Thou who hast slept all night upon the storm, waking renewed on thy prodigious pinions. Burst the wild storm? Over it thou ascendest and rested on the sky, thy slave that cradled thee. Now a blue point, far, far in heaven floating, as to the light emerging here on deck, I watched thee, myself a speck, a point on the world's floating vast. Far, far at sea, after the night's fierce drifts have strewn the shore with wrecks, with reappearing day as now so happy and serene, the rosy and elastic dawn, the flashing sun, the limpid stream of air cerulean, thou also reappearest. Thou born to match the gale, thou art all wings, to cope with heaven and earth and sea and hurricane. Thou ship of air that never furlest thy sails, days, even weeks untired, and onward through spaces, realms gyrating, as dusk thou look'st on Senegal, at morn America, that sportest amid the lightning flash and thunder cloud. In them, in thy experiences, hast thou my soul. What joys were thine? That's it. That's it. The man of war bird to the man of war bird. It certainly would take a bird to get from Senegal at dusk to America in the morning. How on earth you can make it from Senegal to America? Even a bird. Somebody might explain to me. I can't for the life of me understand. Yes, it's just like, I think Whitman invented periscope, you know. I think he just anticipated it. And the imagination enabled him to travel. Sergey, hello, my friend, hello. Yes, it's quite difficult. Yes. I love the opening line. I love the beginning that goes, thou who hast slept all night upon the storm, waking renewed on thy prodigious pinions. I just think that's a gorgeous couplet. First two lines. You closed my eyes as I was reading. Yeah, it's a great thing to do, actually. Close your eyes and just hear, you know, just hear the sound, hear Whitman. I know it's through an Irish accent, and, you know, we don't have any recordings of Whitman. He did mix with a lot of Irish people, though, in his life. In fact, I have a whole book about Walt Whitman and the Irish. Oh, thank you. Thanks. Thanks. It's just, you didn't read the Michelet piece, but you did to a Skylark. Oh, yeah. Yes, he mentioned blab. He did. He mentioned blabbing. He did. Walt Whitman mentions blabbing. My delivery is on point. On point. Right. Ruby Jane, thank you. Thank you. How could one possibly be? Actually, that's a very good point, Dale. There were so many Irish in New York at the time, I think the Irish were about 40% of the population in New York in 1840. I think so. I can't be 100% sure about that, but a very large proportion of New York were Irish. So yeah, so they wanted to try the new pubs, yes. The main trait of the Irish people is that they talk a lot. Irish people talk more than the average. Your partner has Irish blood in him. He avoids talking about his blood. I don't think he should be ashamed of his blood. Should have called the city New Dublin. Yeah, well, of course it was New Amsterdam, wasn't it? Yes, I know. I'm only teasing. Your dad was telling you how difficult it was to be Catholic back at that time. Better than Irish blood on him. Yes. I mean, I think that's the main trait of the Irish. They just talk a lot. Irish people don't stop talking. Yeah. I've met one or two friendly Irish people during my life. I must say that I do remember one or two really friendly ones. Yeah. David now, this man here who's Party World, right? He's, well, we could talk about the English actually and the difference between the Irish and the English. But David is from, Party World there is from Waterford in Ireland, the southeast of Ireland. The Danes are very quiet till we get a beer. Then you wish we were sober. I love the English now. I wouldn't say a negative thing about the English. Do I think that the internet will screw up our brains? Well, if I'm anything to go with, the answer is definitely yes. Oh, the Russians. Russians are very big talkers. The other thing the Russians are good at, I think, is hugging. The Irish were looked down on. So Whitman, yes, the Irish were, yes. And Whitman used to have a part Danish. Oh, my condolences, or oh, you poor man, you're part Danish. Oh dear. Yes, the Russians are into hugging. The Russians are very good huggers, I think it'd be fair to say. Is this poem a paraphrase? Well, it's a bit of an enigma, this poem. I can't say I understand it at all. I like it, but I don't understand it. I like the rhythm of it. Yeah, I've written a few things, all right. I haven't written half as many books as people think I might have, or as I might have. I wrote a cookery book once. Well, I edited a cookery book. You're part Hogwarts, a loose translation. Right. I never heard of this guy, Michelet. But yeah, I edited I pulled together and edited a cookery book. Yeah. I have a book in the Kindle store. A book of poetry in Amazon Kindle store. Yes. It was really cookery. Yes. There was a time when I used to be able to cook. Yes. Had a very good recipe for grasshoppers and also for locusts given to me by somebody from Africa. No, Look, Susan, you've been compared to an onion. The name of my book is Irish Epic Poem in 33 Cantos. I was just thinking, could I lay hands on a copy? No, Irish Epic Poem. Irish Epic Poem in 33 Cantos by Paul O'Mani. If you just Google it, you'll find it. Irish Epic Poem. I think if you Google Irish Epic Poem, for some reason, just because I used to do a lot of blogging, Russians and Irish have a lot in common, visually similar, right? Yeah, Ruby Jane, you can get it. You can read, I think it's about 3 of the cantos. Cantos are, well, you probably know what a canto is. But anyway, the 3, you can read 3 of the cantos, I think, without even buying it. So you can decide, have I seen the film Reds and Whites? No, I don't think so. Is that the Reds and the Whites after the in 1919 in Russia? Is that the war? That the war between the Reds and the Whites in 1819? In 1919. Sorry. What am I doing? Yeah, 1919. Ah, right. That would have been the war that was celebrated, well, not celebrated, described in Sholokov and Quiet Flows the Don. I do know Rumi. Yes. I mean, I have to say, when I say I know Rumi, I have read many poems by Rumi. Rumi is extraordinary. R-U-M-I is an extraordinary poet from, what, the 14th century? Rumi is a metaphysical Sufi. Rumi is a Sufi. It's a beautiful film full of poetic tracking shots and omniscient perspective. Oh, wow. Hey, hello, Turkey. For Rumi poetry here on Scope, follow Jenny Dunning. Yes, I looked for poetry by Jenny recently, and she hadn't done any more scopes. You call Mevlana. Ah, right. Donegan. D-O-N-E-G-A-N. Yeah. Hey, thanks, David. Thank you. Thanks a million. Yeah, David is in the southeast of Ireland. How hard is the twine? How hard is the twine? Paul, you recommended here. How word is the vine? No, not a conventional teacher. Like you're probably thinking, have I taught English? Never taught an English class in my life. I've taught people how to write for business. How nice is... Oh, San Noir, you're off again. You're off again. You have some lovely turn of phrase. Ruby Jane, I hope so. I hope so. I must just find out. Excuse me now, I'm distracted. I'm just trying to see where Ruby Jane is from. You're from Guam. From Guam. How run is that book? She's from Guam. Did you realize that, guys? Ruby Jane is from Guam. G-U-A-M. Hands up, all of you who know where Guam is. I'm not even 100% sure. Yes, Susan knows where Guam is. Far away, says Mark. We're in the same club, Mark. Hands up all... Oh, George knows. George knows where Guam is. It's where Ruby is. Guam is perfect beside the nuclear fallout. Wow. You thought it was a nasty desert. Wow. Yeah. There we are. You see, Periscope is a university. It really is. It is a university. You learn something potentially on every scope. But at least there's, right. Hey, Ruby, don't mind these people. They're only trying to delay you here. I mean, you need to go to bed, I suspect, or go to sleep, or... But look, I'm thrilled that you came. Really am. And thank you so much. And... it's morning in Guam. Your second day on Periscope. Hey, Am 297. That is welcome to Periscope. Would you all please say welcome? I don't even have to tell you or to ask you even. Okay, guys, we have to do our homework before Ruby Jane comes back. You know, we have to educate ourselves, you know. I have to click on here and see. Ali, hello. Ali, good to have you. Thank you very much for coming. Wanderer. There's a, I love the word wanderer. I was going to say why, but I think I'd be in danger of falling into a, Ruby, I think, has gone to Guam. I think Ruby Jane has gone to Guam. And, but she did hope that she would come back. Tell me, Fish Fan, are you really Eric? The strangest question I've been asked. God, there's a good question. That's one of the strangest questions I've been asked. What is the strangest question I have been asked? Lars, come to my rescue. I can't think what's the strangest question I've been asked. God. That's a very good question. That's Eric Anderson. Right. No, Lars, you ask me that too often. How love is the sky. Yeah, I must say the Sanwar has some very strange questions. You know, Lars has proposed marriage to just about everybody on Periscope, so I don't think it's a strange question. Kathy Abor, yeah, the strangest question I've been asked. Tel Aviv, hello Tel Aviv. Wonderful, welcome. You're very welcome, Kathy. In Tel Aviv, I went through Tel Aviv once. Katya, okay, Katya. That sounds like as if you might once have been, that you might be Russian. And there's somebody called Jordan Dances here. So somebody from Tel Aviv and somebody from Jordan. Yes. But I believe that Lars would prefer to have a wife than a male pig. Now, I know he spends a lot of time. You were born in Russia, right? Don't forget the greatest place. You're in Georgia. Wow. The greatest place on earth. You're going to have to help me, Ali. You're going to have to help me. Yes. Where is the greatest place on earth? Yeah, where's the greatest place on earth, guys? Essex. The Essex. Oh, Essex is the greatest place on earth. Right. Some of you will be wondering where Essex is. You won't have heard of Essex Girls, and you won't know Southern Cooch County. Ha-ha. Essex is in the south-east of England, north of the River Thames, east of Romford, near the Plum Creek. Plum Creek. Sanoir, you know what I said to you about the possibility that, some of your poetry could be published on my... I lived in the UK for 30 years. I know the UK reasonably well, Ali. I lived in London for 18 years and I lived in the rest of the UK for 12 years. I lived in London just about everywhere between Swiss Cottage and Bethnal Green. So if you draw an arc of a circle across London between, Swiss Cottage, Camden, Hornsey Rise, Stoke Newington, Bethnal Green, and I ended up spending the longest bit of time on London Fields in Hackney. Yes, I do miss London, where the rivers flow north. Where do the rivers flow north? Used to live in Belsize Park, a really, really good place, Belsize Park. Terrific view down over London from Belsize Park. Very nice. But look, please, can we change the subject? I don't want to talk about living in England or Britain because I get very nostalgic. I'd prefer to talk about, Chicago and other places where the timbered chickens are plenty. Do you know, Sanoir, I think you're actually writing I'd like to learn more about Michelet. When you first wrote it down, I thought you were talking about Michelak. You'd like you all to give a follow to Jemansky. I missed that now. I missed Jemansky. Can you put that down again, Susan? Jimman. You want to hear poetry? Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to read the poem again, right? If you want to add me, you have to go down to the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and you see a little character there. Press that button and it'll show you where you follow. Have I heard of Finnish television? I've heard of Finnish television. I don't know anything about television in any country. Okay. I tell you what, I'm going to read a poem I haven't read. I'm going to read... Hey, Kathy, hello. Oh, I'm delighted you called in. Spearfishing in northern Minnesota. I'm going to read a second poem by Walt Whitman called Aboard at a Ship's Helm. Aboard at a Ship's Helm. Ali, thank you for coming. I feel really honoured that somebody who'd be on their second day on Periscope would actually come here. That really is... Okay, Aboard at a Ship's Helm. Right? It's a short poem by Walt Whitman, and I haven't a clue when it was written, but Whitman put it in this place in the book. Cheerio. Aboard at a ship's helm, a young steersman steering with care. Through fog on a sea coast, dolefully ringing an ocean bell. Oh, a warning bell, rocked by the waves. Oh, you give good notice indeed, you bell by the sea reefs ringing, 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 to warn the ship from its wreck place. For as on the alert, O steersman, you mind the loud admonition, the bows turn, the freighted ship tacking speeds away under her grey sails. The beautiful and noble ship, with all her precious wealth, speeds away gaily and safe. But, O ship, the immortal ship, O ship aboard a ship, aboard the ship, ship of the body, ship of the soul, voyaging, voyaging, voyaging. Ship of the soul, voyaging, voyaging, voyaging. I'll read it again. It's called Aboard at a Ship's Helm. Aboard at a ship's helm. Aboard at a ship's helm, a young steersman, steering with care. Through fog on a sea coast dolefully ringing, an ocean bell. Oh, a warning bell, rocked by the waves. Oh, you give good notice indeed, you bell by the sea reefs ringing, 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 to warn the ship from its wreck place. For as on the alert, O steersman, you mind the loud admonition, the bows turn, the freighted ship tacking speeds away under her grey sails. The beautiful and noble ship, with all her precious wealth, speeds away gaily and safe. But, oh, the ship, the immortal ship, O ship aboard the ship, ship of the body, ship of the soul, voyaging, voyaging, voyaging. (1867). 1867 must have appeared first in the 4th edition of Leaves of Grass. You love boating, Susan. Yes, sailing from Afghanistan. It's good if you... 1867, yeah. You love swimming. Susan likes sailing or boating. I've sailed. The last stanza, I totally agree with you, Andrew. But, oh, the ship, the immortal ship, oh, ship aboard the ship, ship of the body, ship of the soul. And then the 3 last words, voyaging, voyaging, voyaging. I just love, in the context of the poem, I love the last 3 words. All great writing is holding your breath underwater. Oh, right. Oh, I like that one. And did I say hello to you already? I don't think I did. If I didn't. Aqua Puppy, hello. Yes, the repetition. Well, if you want to give the impression of a ship sailing, traveling, going on, and a journey going on through life, the body and the soul journeying, then repeating a word is a good thing for a poet to do. Has anyone truly felt euphoric? I have. Yeah. I have. If by euphoric, yeah. Simply messing about in boats or with boats or in and out of them, it doesn't matter. Oh, that's the wind in the willows. After a life's performance on stage, boating takes me there. God. Well, dog. And the very end of Ulysses ends with yes. If you haven't read Ulysses, then don't ask me what that's about. But the 3 yeses are the last 3 words in Ulysses. And it's like 3 yeses in When Harry Meets Sally. The cherry blossoms are blooming in Washington. It's so warm. Wow. Well, that's a good point. But it was certainly memorable, and it's been done before. And since, and it will be done again. Voyaging. Well, it takes me back. 17 degrees centigrade on the East Coast today, less than a fortnight before Christmas. Oh, there is so much audio to copy from this periscope. Yes, Dale. That's unseasonably warm. But, do any of you remember how unseasonably snowy it was earlier in the year? You could make a dozen Paul vines. You're a great man for the vines. Vines of grass. That's what I must think of you as, Dale. Madzub, vines of grass. That's what you are. You're not a leaf, leaves of a book at all. You're vines. 21 people here, only 3 commenting. Yeah, that's what happens. But there are others who will pop up. There are people who just absolutely love just listening. And, most people, it's so unseasonably vocal. And you're driving. You see, now, vines of grass. Yeah, vines of grass. Pat Bateman Esquire is Irish, by the way. But you know what? This terrible word called lurkers. I have some 3 friends of mine who set out to write a book. No, 2 friends of mine set out to write a book about lurkers in kind of a passionate defense of the value of lurkers on the internet. German in Ireland. Wow. Well, Pat, we must meet. You know that. I am very keen to meet people. Terrific. I by the way, there will be some people watching this on the web, and I just want to say that I hold people who are watching on the web in the highest esteem. Oh yeah, we all love people interacting with you. Aqua Puppy, do you do many scopes? It's so unseasonably hot, pants. Oh God. Hold on a second. Now I've got to... Oh yes, you're Australian living in Germany, scoping Germany and weekly music. Oh, do you know Vera? Wait a second now, I don't want to make a silly mistake. You were in Leipzig. Oh God, I'm really silly. I'm really silly. I should have remembered that. Nerpsy, isn't it? It's Nerpsy. Michael in Rome. Namasta. Oh, you know, it's... you know, eventually we get to hook up with people who, you know, look at this. Dr. Kathy is here from Alaska now. See, we have Germany, Alaska, Italy, Indiana. Yes, I have been to Los Angeles. I spent 2 summers in... Oh, Paul went on that... Yeah, that poor troll. I kind of felt I was being a little harsh. New York City, hello. To go back to Los Angeles, I spent 2 summers in Los Angeles. I worked in a sweet factory in Long Beach. My job was to crack huge slabs of chocolate into a big vat, where, yeah, I lived in 2 places in Los Angeles. I lived in Santa Monica, and I lived in Fountain Valley. You go snorkeling in Long Beach. Oh, wow. Wow. Do you know Rob Music? Do you know Rob Music? Rob Music is you have Irish in your DNA. Well, leave it there, please, Ace Taylor. Well, look, please come to Ireland. I will buy you, at the very least, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. I promise I will buy a cup of coffee for every single person. Orange County, Anaheim. I've been to Orange County, just passed through, didn't stay long. Well, I also stretched to a beer. You lived in Pasadena. You see, we've got Orange County and Pasadena. They're quite close to each other, aren't they? Relatively speaking. And Rob Music is just south, around the corner from Venice. If you come here, I better do better than coffee. Well, it'll be a red carpet and a cup of coffee in that case. Definitely a red carpet and... Yes. You bought a 1930s banjo today from someone in Glanmire? Pat, are you free to have a cup of coffee tomorrow? Are you free tomorrow? Tell you about your heritage. That's a good thing. That's an interesting question. I wouldn't be very good at that because I don't know enough about. Banjos are very popular in Denver. I'm quite sure that in that music place that Dale hangs out, I've definitely seen a banjo or 2. Working Thursday or Friday, yes. Look, I'll send you a tweet, right? I'll send you a tweet. Pat Bateman Esquire. Okay. Okay. Pat, I'll send you a tweet. I do marketing for a living. I do marketing. That would be the simplest way of saying what I do. I don't make any money out of writing poetry. I'm still waiting for the... right. Well, you probably know more about marketing than I do then, if you're a major. But that's... I'll do that. I will definitely do that. I'm just about to highlight the action point. Donal Lunny. Oh, Donal Lunny's very good. Donal Lunny's a very fine musician. Your family came to Denmark from Germany in 1500. Oh yes. Were your family economic migrants? I'm going to finish the scope. Before I go, I'm going to read Aboard a Ship's Helm again. Lars, were your family refugees or were they economic migrants? They were mostly priests. Your mother's from Kentucky. Wow. What does what mean? Hey, aqua puppy. Schlafen Sie gut. The big priest family. Wow. You live across the river from Louisville, or Louisville. Yeah. Wow. Okay, while you're chatting to each other, I will read the poem again. Danke sehr. Auf Wiedersehen. Aboard at a ship's helm. Aboard at a ship's helm, a young steersman, steering with care. Through fog on a sea-coast dolefully ringing, an ocean bell. Oh, a warning bell rocked by the waves. Oh, you give good notice indeed, you bell by the sea reefs ringing, 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 to warn the ship from its wreck place. For as on the alert, O steersman, you mind the loud admonition, the bow turn, the freighted ship, tacking, speeds away under her grey sails. The beautiful and noble ship, with all her precious wealth, speeds away gaily and safe. But oh, the ship, the immortal ship, O ship aboard the ship, ship of the body, ship of the soul, voyaging, voyaging, voyaging. The end. So that's the poetry. That's the poetry. Thank you, Space Boy. Thank you very much. I think Susan's location is being tied down now to a very narrow area. Anne, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. See, Virginia, we are all voyages to discover new friendships. You'll send me a photograph of your seal from the days with power. Oh, I understand. Now I understand. I was thinking of a sea lion, a seal. I was thinking, Lars, you can't have a pig, a parrot and a seal in your house. You know, the next thing I was going to hear that you haven't told us all, but you have a very big water tank in your back garden with a seal in it. Susan, Namista, go peacefully. The family crest. Neither would I, Andrew. I don't think anything would surprise me. You see, I've got a long memory when it comes to some things. An army brat. C.S. Murphy, thank you. That's a very nice thing to say. Thank you very much. It's, you wanted a crow, but you got a parrot. Did you see your brother's macaws on Instagram? Oh, right. Your dad's a retired officer. My first wife was, is the daughter of somebody who was in the RAF in the UK. And she was brought up going around, you know, from RAF base to RAF base to another RAF base, Air Force base. Yeah, she travelled around, so I got kind of, I don't have any relatives in any armed forces any longer that I know. Macaws. Kids are resilient. Oh yeah, kids are resilient. Yeah. So look, guys, I just, one last thing I'd like to do before, because I will have to go in a few minutes. I'll have to go in a few minutes. Is it, whose birthday is next? Would you mind, Naifa Lanasi, you're very welcome. Wherever you're from, you're very, very welcome. Does anyone have a birthday coming up in, let's say, December? Okay, any advance on January the 10th? Michael has thrown the, yeah, where is Nelsha with the list? Andrew, you have the most phenomenal memory. From Saudi Arabia, welcome. Welcome. Bye-bye, Susan. Bye-bye. From Saudi Arabia, where I think 17 women were elected for the first time in the history of the state of Saudi Arabia. I think. At least that's what it said in the news I read. So whose birthday is? Have we got anybody's? Yes. And it felt like as if it was a step in a good direction. To me, although I don't know enough to judge. Yes, so the next birthday is going to be the 10th of, yeah, well, you eat an elephant by starting with a small bite, or else a journey of 1,000 years begins with a single step. I think that's the best one. I think that's a Zen one, isn't it? A journey of 1,000. Something begins with a single step. Some in more conservative regions as well. Right. Okay, so the 10th of January is our next birthday. Well, look, every one of you, I am going to retire. But I think it's been a wonderful bit of time with you. Oh, it was Gandhi who said it. Oh, right. It was Spinach who said it. No, Lars, good night. Good night. Crystal, good night. Besides, I have to say good night. You're very welcome. The scope is saved, and if anybody wants to look back on it. Thank you, Lars. Good night, Andrew, and thank you again. Thank you again. Thank you, Anne, Michael, Crystal, everybody. And to those of you who have watched, Spaceboy, thank you. Those of you who have watched on the web, thank you very much. And if anybody watched all through on replay, thank you very much too. Okay? Until tomorrow night. David, it looks like as if you've arrived back home. Yes, I'm sorry that you've come just as we're finishing. I hope we meet again. I hope that we can have longer on another occasion. Okay. Good night to you all. Bye-bye. Good evening, good day. Got to love you and leave you.